Hi, it's Beverly Cole, and I'm here to go vintage with you. We're going to use watercolor pencils today, and we're going to use this stamp set, which is called Violets for You. I think it has a vintage feel. Let's get started again with a project I already have been working on.
Now, I think it already looks vintage. I'm going to work a little more on this one just so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, I have gone ahead and used some of the colors in both of these sets. For the skin tone set, I keep it over here on the right side of my glass mat, along with the Brilliantly Vibrant set on my glass mat. And I'm going to use the white area, my palette area of my glass mat, to do all of my mixing and squirting of alcohol or water. In this case, I'm using the alcohol. Now, the vintage colors are actually coming from the skin tone and hair set, and they are gorgeous colors. They're pretty. This one is iced tea. Then I have soft apricot, strawberry milkshake, roast chestnut, aren't they gorgeous? Pinot noir, and heather dusk, along with some other light colors, and I'll name those as I go along. So for my vintage flower, I decided to go ahead and start with the strawberry milkshake. And I just go ahead and I just color in the area with the strawberry milkshake in little circular motions, not being too worried about filling in the entire area. I'm not worried about that. I'm just laying in some color, and I don't have to press very hard because these are very highly pigmented pencils. Then, to give it some more dimension, I take the Pinot Noir, and I'm going to add the darker purple color to the shaded or shadowy areas of my flower. Now, if you're not sure where to shade, then feel free to take Tracy's artwork from her stamp set and use that as a guide. Well, I am an artist, so I tend to not worry about that too much. After a while, you get used to where you think the shadows should be. As a young girl in school, learning how to color and draw, I did tons and tons of drawings. You have to draw. You want to learn how to draw, you got to do the drawing. Just practice, practice, practice. So I learned where shadows would go, where shading would go, just like I'm sure Tracy learned. Her artwork is just beautiful. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm going to add for some highlights from the skin tone set. This one is called Pale Blonde, and I'm just going to use that a little bit for the highlights right across here. And I'm just scribbling it in. Okay, so it looks real pretty right the way it is, right? Well, wait till we do this. Now I'm going to add alcohol. Alcohol, 92% alcohol, I believe it is. Hold on. 91% isopropyl alcohol. Get it at Walmart. Get it in a lot of different places. Drugstore. Now I'm going to take my water brush full of alcohol, and I'm just going to squirt some off on my white palette area, and then pick it up with my brush. I don't squirt the alcohol onto the art project. Now look at this. I'm just touching that wet brush to the area where I put the pencil, and it blends the colors right there on that craft paper. Look at that. I'm just filling it in. I'm not squeezing my water brush. I'm just coloring it in, filling it in with the alcohol. Okay, now the alcohol dries really quickly. Okay, so now I'm going to color in some more highlights, and I'm going to use the Ivory Rose watercolor from those skin tones because I think I need a little bit more pink through here. So these are very muted colors, you can see. If you're into vintage, and I love vintage, distressed, all that stuff, again, just cover it with some alcohol. Okay, now the leaves, there are no greens in the, of course, hair and skin tones, so I'm using my Brilliantly Vibrant set, and I'm taking out my 2 greens. I have, oops, lemongrass, and this one is called Imperial Jade. Ooh, Imperial Jade. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use the lighter color green to just fill in the leaf, and I'm going between my embossed lines, but I'm just scribbling it in, really, not even filling in the whole area. I don't have to. And the color is just so highly pigmented, I really don't have to color hard at all. Very smooth color coming out. Then I'm going to use my Imperial Jade, and I'm going to put in my shadows. Just scribbling them in, not worrying too much about being exact, but staying in the lines, and that's easy to do when it's embossed. Okay, so I'm going around the edges, scribbling my pencil down the middle, some shadow here. Remember, you can look at Tracy's coloring on her set there. Okay, and then these backgrounds in here. I can see on her picture, if I look here, that I can see that she has these darker green areas here. Then, to give it that vintage feel, I'm going to take some of this color, Caramel Popcorn. This is from the Skin Tone set. And I'm going to put some of that over the green. Just scribbling in over the greens. I'm not worrying too much about, even about the embossing lines. Okay, now again, my alcohol in my water brush. And I'm just going to go in there and blend with the alcohol. Now, this is going to look darker when you first add the alcohol because it's wet. Once it dries, the colors will be a little bit less bright. Okay, so there we go. And for the center of my flowers, I decided I want to make them kind of a darker color this time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the, which one is it? Roast Chestnut. And I'm going to just fill those in. Roast Chestnut. Right there. Alcohol on those to set it. Okay, there. Now I also used some roast chestnut down here in my pottery. I decided I wanted this to be like pottery, so put some dark around my leaves to set it off. And also in the background, I want to do that. Back in here. Okay, and then I'm going to use some white color and pick up outside of the dark area with some lighter color. This one is pale blonde again. And I didn't use any of this on the pottery. This is in the background. So I'm just really coloring really quickly, and I'm not worrying about filling in the area, but I am doing some cross-hatching, which just means going one direction and then turning my art around and going the other direction. Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to take my alcohol again, go over my background. Ooh, I'm going to put some out on my mat and pick it up. And this will kind of melt that little bit of watercolor color pencil, excuse me, and blend it into the paper. Same with my, ooh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Love that. Okay, so this will dry in a matter of a minute or so. You can see it on the back here. It'll dry.